Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. We're going to quickly jump into CoinGecko here. We're currently sitting at a $1.73 trillion market cap, currently down 1.2%. Looking at the top 10 here, Bitcoin sitting at 36,616, Ethereum sitting at 2,418, Tether's Tether, Cardano sitting at $1.03, Solana sitting at 92.60, XRP sitting at 60 cents, Terra sitting at 62.64, and Polkadot sitting at 18.39. So as you can see, there's still a lot of red in the market. And coming over here to the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, we're currently sitting at 12 in extreme fear. So, we're down a point from yesterday when we were at 13. So as you can see, we've still been in this range for weeks on weeks on weeks. There's still a lot of fear, uncertainty in the market, especially when it comes to traditional markets and, inflation and the Jerome Powell and what they're going to do with the, the tapering and the interest rate hikes and all that stuff. So we've been talking a lot about what's going on currently in the SEC versus Ripple case when it comes to recent litigation where the judge had allowed Ripple to gain access to Will Hinman's Ethereum free pass speech drafts. But now, the SEC, this whole time they're claiming, oh, that was his personal opinion. Now they're claiming that, there's some components within those drafts and other documents that are protected under privilege because those were specifically a part of deliberation within the SEC and their particular stance on, securities and the market. So they're kind of talking out of both sides of their mouths. And Eleanor Terrett had tweeted here, kind of calling them on their bluff here, with their own words. This is our former SEC chair that's actually referencing Bill Hinman's Ethereum free pass speech. So let's take a listen in.
Bill Hinman recently outlined the approach we take to evaluate whether a digital asset is a security, and I encourage you to take a look at Bill's speech, which is available on our website.
So as you can see, that's our former chair literally telling people to go out and utilize that as your reference, the Ethereum free pass speech by Bill Hinman. She says, so both Hinman and Clayton are now on record saying the W word, the we word. This can't be ignored. She comes down here and says, and it's not just the we part, it's the fact that Clayton is encouraging people to go to the website and read the speech. Why do that if it's just one man's opinion? And right after Hinman's speech, there were numerous articles written with the title like, SEC announces cryptocurrency Ether is not a security. Why didn't the SEC bother to correct them? Or when journalists asked the question in interviews on live TV, no correction? Confused. So absolutely, I mean, she's pretty much, using their own words, using them on, video, contradicting what they're saying. So coming over here, Johnny Deaton had tweeted, why is Eleanor Terrett and Charles Gasparino the only ones reporting all the facts? Despite Hinman and the SEC claiming the speech was a personal opinion, Hinman repeatedly stated, we at the SEC believe. Clayton did the same. Hester Pearson Jackson referred to the speech as guidance. So that's the big thing. It's like, it's not just the we part, because clearly they're saying we as in we as the SEC, but the fact that you're utilizing that speech in the video of William Hinman giving Ethereum free pass speech as guidance for the market, which is telling people in the market like, hey, he said, Ethereum is not a security, so we're good to go. That's the problem. So I wanted to touch on Stefan Huber's tweet here. So what we're going to do, this is our current SEC chair, Gary Gensler, and this is when he was teaching at MIT, and he's kind of touching on what's going on with Ethereum and its so-called security status. Let's take a listen in.
Be enough. I mean, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission in the Hinman speech sort of said you could be sufficiently decentralized as Ethereum. They in essence had some regulatory forbearance. And there's a key sentence in that speech as to, I think the words were, regardless of what Ethereum might have been in 2014. Like Hinman kind of pushed that to the side, said, I'm not going to address that question implicitly. But it's sufficiently decentralized. That's the debate that's going on now between a bunch of venture firms and the SEC. When are you sufficiently decentralized? And so that forum that you just mentioned might get us there.
So long story short, we've seen Gary Gensler go on live television, and when being asked if he thinks Ethereum is a security, he can't even answer the question whether it is or isn't. But when he was at MIT and he was teaching, he was highly convinced that Ethereum was a security because it passed the Howey test. But now that he's in the current position and he's the chair of the SEC, he can't even answer the question. But so-called, now they're trying to claim that, William Hinman's speech, had some components of it that was deliberation within the SEC. But then again, you claim that it's his personal opinion. So what is it? You really can't, have your cake and eat it too, as they say. So Stefan Huber says, Mr. Chairman, Gary Gensler, what did you say? Seriously? I mean, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission in his speech sort of said you could be sufficiently decentralized as Ethereum. There is no escape. There's no happy ending. Stop this now. Case closed. And I thought that was hilarious. Absolutely. I mean, it's over. You guys are caught. It's being exposed what you guys are trying to do, trying to close the door on everything else besides Ethereum and Bitcoin. But it's like, you're on video. We have you on audio. It's you. You're your own downfall. So coming over here, we have John Deaton had tweeting, what exculpatory or damning evidence exists within the 63 emails containing the draft speech? So we talked about this in our previous video. So who are the 63 members that were part of the 63 emails that went out when it came to William Hinman's speech? Who are these people? And he's right. Like, what damning evidence is in that? Why can't we get access to that? Why is it so unknown and secretive? The SEC intends to argue contrary to its repeated assertions and sworn statements that Director Bill Hinman's June 18th speech represented his personal views. Coming out here, he says, the SEC now wants to argue that the emails and other documents were an essential link in the SEC's deliberative process with respect to Ether and other digital assets. They fought hard to have it declared a personal opinion, and now they fight hard not to turn over the evidence. So that's the crazy thing, because if it was anybody else, even if it was Ripple to try to, redact or keep, so-called vital evidence as privilege, it wouldn't happen. But because it's the SEC, it's like, okay, it's like the rules don't apply for them. And that's the problem, because they're hurting the so-called investors that they're there to protect. Taxpayer dollars are funding them, their organization, their chairs, but you can't even protect the people that you're sworn to protect. It's crazy. So coming over here, we have John Deaton had tweeted this as well. He says, to my fellow XRP holders, Judge Netburn has said the following. My understanding is that XRP has a utility as currency, and that's what separates it from Bitcoin and Ether. Based on what you just said, every person in the world selling XRP is committing a Section 5 violation. So then he comes down here and says, she was calling the SEC attorney out and pointing out that according to his theory, every XRP holder would be breaking the law. She's pointing out how overboard and far-reaching that theory is. So absolutely, I'm glad that, she is calling, their representatives out on, their nonsense. But the whole point is just like, okay, how long is this thing going to drag on? Obviously there's so much evidence going against the SEC, regardless of, whatever evidence they have against Ripple to defend their case. But there's just so much going against the SEC and them contradicting everything that they say. And it's quite evident that they literally tried to slam the door on everybody else's face. So coming over here, we have the digital asset investor had tweeted this, and I thought this was pretty powerful because we covered our current SEC chair, Gary Gensler, when he was asked on, I think it was CNBC or Yahoo, one of those, he was asked specifically by the interviewer, is Ether a security? And he could not answer the question. He pretty much was like, I'm the head of the SEC organization where we don't, talk about one particular asset in this, pretty much saying in this sort of environment type thing, pretty much kind of slapping the interviewer and the rest of the listeners in the face saying like, hey, I'm not going to answer that question. So he says the SEC says their number one job is to protect investors, but they won't tell those investors whether something is a security. So investors have to invest at their own risk. Then the SEC later does an enforcement action which harms the very people they're willing to protect. Absolutely. So we're going to take a listen into this interview here.
One of them's from Rhett Creighton. Would Ethereum be considered a security?
I love the question because it's just a very direct question, and it's
Yeah.
one that I get asked a lot. Again, I don't opine on whether any particular thing is a security. I think that's an important thing to know about the SEC. We don't give opinions about particular things, whether or not it fits within the security bucket, until if we think that it does and you didn't offer it the right way, we might bring an enforcement action.
Yeah.
So it can be difficult for people to figure out. I will note, however, that you can look at a speech that the director of our division of corporation finance, Bill Hinman, gave, in which he addressed Ethereum, and you might look.
One of them's from Rhett.
I mean, that's problematic. I mean, quite honestly, the so-called investors you're set out to protect, right? Investor protection. Give us the information and knowledge we know. Give us the clarity that we need to make informed decisions for ourselves and for our families. Don't just, operate off of enforcement. Let us know, educate us, give us that clarity, give the market the clarity that it needs. That's the problem. going to end on this. Digital asset investor had tweeted based on Decrypt's post here. It says, Ethereum Foundation kills ETH 2.0 in favor of consensus layer rebrand. So Ethereum Foundation goes from ETH 2.0 to ETH 2.0. So obviously they're trying to do some rebranding here. And he goes, you have to wonder if someone has been given notice that the SEC is coming for Ethereum, hence the name change. So I thought that was pretty hilarious. And, with that being said, I'm not against Ethereum. I'm not against Bitcoin. I invest heavily in those. My biggest investment is XRP, but I hold a lot of other digital assets. I'm more in favor for the health of the entire space because I truly have high conviction on the space, and I see that this is our future. We're so early into this. We're currently sitting at a $1.73 trillion market cap. I mean, it's so early. And I truly believe that we are on the right side of the law, on the right side of history. So I'm going to continue to accumulate, continue to hold strong, and ride this thing out. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.